Hi, everybody. This is DearMamaSal, and we are live on a Friday afternoon. A very warm welcome to you all. If you are ghosting, we always welcome people who want to just watch. Excuse me, allergies are playing up. And feel free to do that. By the way, if there's a subject that you'd like us to talk about, please make sure that you let us know. Today, we're going to be talking around a case study that happened. Some of you might have been on the air when Emma was talking to us about some problems that she was having. And I want to talk through the whole of that scenario and give you the follow-up because it's really interesting. Hi, Jody, and hi to Emma. This is your story, Em, so you'll be able to correct me if I say anything that's not quite correct. I'm hoping I got it all right. But the reason that I asked Emma, and by the way, she did give permission for me to do this, the reason that I asked her to let me tell the story is because, hi, Carrie, because it really is a wonderful story about correcting and recorrecting. And, you know, it's about judgments and it's about self-talk and it's about a little bit about everything. And I thought because of that, it's a wonderful story to tell so that people can hopefully learn a little bit from it. So for those of you who were not on the broadcast, it feels like a month ago, but I'm certain it wasn't. I've got a feeling it was only a week ago. When did we originally start this? Was it 2 weeks ago or a week ago? I know it was on a Friday. Anyway, let me continue while Em lets me know on that one. But the whole thing was that Emma came on the chat to talk about some stress that she was going under. It was 2 weeks. Okay, thank you. She was under a lot of stress, not just some, it was a lot of stress. I think that would be putting it pretty plainly. And the reason that she was having a lot of stress was because she had an upcoming physics exam and she had downloaded some test papers. Yeah, I've got a feeling it was only one. She had downloaded some test papers, to practice with. And when she saw them, reality hit home. So you understand that the practice paper just triggered her completely and made her realize she was not suitably prepared to take this physics exam. So the interesting part about this was that she intelligently, in my view, came to the broadcast and talked about it. You see, when you talk about something that's stressing you out, you get a chance for options, you get a chance to hear what your stress is about, and you get a chance to rethink things. And so, first of all, a big round of applause to Emma for coming and talking about it, even though it probably was a little bit embarrassing for her. She was in overwhelm. I think I'm correct in saying, Emma, that you were feeling a bit like a loser. And quite honestly, at some level, she was out of control. And that's not an easy place to be in and come for help, quite honestly. It's a big hug to you because we would not have been able to do this together had you not told the truth on this. So I really want to thank her for that. So what we did is we discussed it during the broadcast, and I thank all of you who were there because we were able to give her some possible solutions. Now, one of the things that I really want everybody to know, when you're trying to help somebody, if you can give them options and let them make the decision, that works really well. I try very hard not to tell people what to do because I don't know what they should do, because I'm not sitting in their chair, they are. And so we gave her a couple of options about what she might be able to do. And one of them was to, just go ahead and take the exam, obviously. The second one, and when I say that, take the exam knowing that she probably wouldn't pass it. The other possibility was to talk to her advisor and explain that she did not feel ready to take the exam. She didn't feel that she was, had studied enough or understood enough, rather, to be able to take the exam, and that she needed help, and see if the advisor could, either help her or give her somebody that would be able to help her. Well, the interesting thing was that Emma decided on the second route. She decided not to sit the exam. And I think it's fair to say, Emma, that you instantly felt the relief of that, right? Oh, the other thing we did check out, just so that you all know, we did check out if she didn't sit the exam, was it pass and fail forever, or could she resit it at another time? And she had said she had the ability to reset it in May. So to resit in May meant that it gave her that much of a little gap to sort of get her ducks in a row. Anyway, so what she did was she decided not to take the exam. And then we double checked to make sure that she felt comfortable with that. And was there anything else that we could give her support on? And she said, no, she realized now that's what she needed to do. So I thought that was amazing that she did it. So what did Emma have to let go of in order to let go of the stress? Do you understand? Something had to give for her to let go of the stress. Now, maybe Emma can tell us, but I want you guys to think about this, because you do the same thing as Emma, I'm pretty sure, on a fairly regular basis, if you're human. And the whole trick about emotional intelligence that we're talking about is not that you don't ever get overwhelmed. It's how long do you stay there? See, that is the trick. The trick is not that you get overwhelmed. I've got another couple of case studies that I'm going to talk about this evening, because this is all about thinking smart helps you move on. And sometimes you need to talk to other people to get the input you need. Well, the thing was that Emma decided to delay the exam. And I know Emma enough to know that that probably had an effect on her. So what I decided to do was actually check back with her in a couple of days after that to see how she was doing and make sure she wasn't beating up on herself, for deciding not to take the exam. And quite the opposite. She was actually really excited, which I thought was awesome, because not only had she delayed the sitting of the exam, but she also had found herself a study buddy. Yay. So that was wonderful. Now, this is where the emotional roller coaster continues, because you understand she was under high stress, then she dropped the stress, and now she's happy. And one of the things I was talking to some other people about this week was the fact that, your happy stress actually is equally damaging to the body as your worry stress. I don't know if you guys are aware of that. That when you're super happy, it also has effect on your body. If you're super stressed, it has an effect, but so does super happy. But anyway, the good news was she was overjoyed with herself because she'd managed to find herself a pretty darn smart study buddy. And that would be putting it mildly. So I was obviously very happy to hear that for her. And then the next bit of conversation I had from Emma was that she was upset. And she wasn't a little bit upset. She was very upset. So here we go with the roller coaster. So she was really happy, and now suddenly she's back into being upset. And well done, Emma, again, because she talked about it. She didn't stay in it, right, which is emotionally unintelligent. She actually talked to me about it, which meant that her brain could process it and move on, hopefully. So she told me the truth. And the truth was that she was angry because her study buddy was gloating about what great scores she got. Now, do any of you relate to this? That she found herself this study buddy, and now suddenly the study buddy turns out to be somebody that's gloating about the fact that they got, really good marks. Really good marks. And Emma had done the same test that the study buddy had, and Emma had only just passed. I hesitate to say squeaked through, but from the way that Emma said it, that was my sense of it, that she just passed, and the study buddy did the same test and got really, really good marks. And Emma was upset about that, that she was gloating about her marks. Now, part of me totally understood it. Part of me has been there, done that, Em. I can remember when I sat for my radio hamming, license. I failed it by this much. So I worked really, really hard for 6 months, and then I passed it by this much. But there were people, around me that never did pass it, and there were other people that got really good scores. But you see, the thing was that Emma said to me, she talked, good for Emma, she talked to the study buddy and said, hey, I need to tell you that this gloating about your brilliant scores is actually upsetting me. So I'd appreciate it if you didn't do that, which is addressing her issue. By the way, who's got the issue? Just so that everybody's really clear. Is it the study buddy? Hi, Linda. Is it the study buddy who is boasting about her scores, or is it Emma who doesn't want to hear about the scores? Yeah, Jody's saying she can totally understand the upset as well. Yeah, I something, when I was reading about it, I just had to chuckle because I went, yeah, I've been there and done that. Yeah, don't tell me how well you did. I really don't want to know, because I only just squeaked through. Like, yeah, you know what I mean. It was just like I totally got it. However, she talked to the. How many of you would have had the guts to actually tell that person, this is upsetting me, so just be aware? Because that takes courage to actually tell somebody, but it got worse. I can take a deep breath here, because it got worse for poor Emma, because the next thing is they did another test together, and this time she got distinction, which is, like the very top that you can get. And guess the study buddy's busy telling Emma, guess what? I got distinction. And now Emma isn't just angry. She is livid. I told you, in her mind, she's going, I told you not to tell me. I didn't want to have this happen. So Emma, again, big round of applause, wrote to me and told me the second part of the story. Now, can you all feel at some level what Emma was feeling? She didn't want to feel less than, and so therefore she didn't want to hear the other person's marks. But also, she had told her new friend, and by the way, she was quite excited she'd found this new friend. She had told this new friend not to discuss it if she got really good scores, because it upset her. Now, to me, that was really interesting. Yeah, Jody's saying she's feeling very protective of Emma. Very protective indeed, because Jody is our mother hen. So, all right, as long as you can all feel Emma's side of it. So she said to me, Sal, what do I do? And, I can't tell Emma what to do, but I did want to help Emma change her thinking, all right? Because if I could get her to change her thinking, you see, I know from the bottom of my heart what Emma wants, I believe. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure that Emma wants to pass the exam. That's what came to me when I read all of this. What Emma wants is to pass the exam. So my question to myself was, what does Emma need to do to pass the exam? And so I said to her, All you really need to do is to bury your ego for a second and learn everything you possibly can from this brilliant study buddy that you passed. Because you did a really great job. You didn't just do everything. What you did was you got yourself an expert in the subject, and that means that they'll be able to teach you a lot of the tricks of the trade. So if you can let go of the fact that she's smarter than you are and concentrate on the fact that you can learn everything you need to know from her and pass your exam, you know what I mean? This is like, well done. I'm so proud of you for finding this human being. And so I am delighted to say, with the tears running out of my eyes as I speak, but I am delighted to say that Emma got it. It was just like, hello. You were smart enough to delay the exam. You were smart enough to find yourself a study buddy that can help you pass. The fact that she's brighter than you is a good thing, not a bad thing. So, okay, now it's not allergies, now it's just me getting emotional. But I realized in saying this to her that Emma could go either way. She could either think I was no longer on her side, which was not true, or she could see that reality and move on. So, I'm delighted to say that she got it. And she went, right. And that made my day, obviously. But I did give her the option, or she could just, let go of the friend that didn't do what she wanted her to. You see, the real issue on the second one was that she couldn't control the study buddy's excitement about getting really good marks. She couldn't handle it. But then she got smart. See, then she became emotionally intelligent when she realized this was a good thing. Hang on, let me rethink this one. This actually is a good thing if I choose to see it that way. And so, Emma, I want to give you 10 out of 10 because what you did was so right on so many different levels, in my view, in terms of emotional intelligence. First of all, you were really honest with yourself, even though it was possibly a little bit embarrassing. You talked about the initial problem and therefore got some new options. You then got really excited because you found yourself the perfect buddy. Then you went through the roller coaster of she's smarter than I am, but really much smarter, and it's pissing me off. Oh, how cute is that? And Emma's saying, Sal, I think I got a distinction in my emotional intelligence life exam. But you understand, that's why it's there. Because again, the moment that you could see it from the other side, Emma, did it change your reality? You see, you were getting angry at the other person because they've got good scores. Really isn't what it's about. And by the way, asking her to keep quiet about her good scores was also denying her the pleasure of finding out how smart she was. I was pretty sure, although I've never met this person, that they are somebody that strives for excellence. I don't know why. It sort of reminded me, happy birthday to Jenny Jen Jen, sort of reminded me of Jenny Jen Jen, who got really good marks on things, but yet was able to help other people along their way. And so it was wonderful. So here are the lessons that I wanted to share with everybody. Number one, would you agree that when you hear options, when you think you're stuck, but you can hear that you've got options, it helps to calm you down? You see, what Emma did in the first case was when she decided, that is so cute. Emma's just saying, yes, study buddy got distinction today, and again yelled from the rooftops, I got a pass again. But instead of going into myself, I gave her a hug and told her I was so proud of her. Emotionally brilliant. Well done, Emma, because how keen is she going to be to help you get through your exam? All right? Because she probably needs that approval more than you know. How do I know that? Because she keeps telling you about it. And the fact that she is that much better than you is irrelevant. Well, it's very relevant because she's going to help you pass. If you listen to her and if you study with her, right? So when you hear options, do you understand that gives you a step forward if you want to take it? By the way, have any of you ever given options to somebody and every time you give them another option, they go, yes, but? Yes, but da 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 da. Yes, but da 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 da. You see, that means that they want to stay stuck. And why would anybody want to stay stuck? Well, I've been there. I've done it. Have any of you? All right. And 9 times out of 10, you want to stay stuck because it requires that you don't change. So I understand that. But Emma got it. She wanted to pass. Wow. All right. So Emma, bless her heart, she says, yes, I truly believe 100%. If I hadn't gone to you at first to get that time out, I'd have made a really bad choice. Yeah, I think you would have kicked her to the curb. And you would have justified it or rationalized it. By the way, rationalize. You would have rationalized it by saying, I did it because she didn't respect my boundary, which was not, please don't discuss your scores. You would have had the perfect excuse. But you didn't, you see, you got it. Yeah, oh, Jody's adding a bit to this. Jody's saying it can be really maddening when you hear yes, but. And then the person says, why won't you help me? Well, actually, I've given you 5 suggestions. You nuke them all. All right. So when you hear options, you can start to have hope, and you can start to see the possible. Would that be true? When you hear options, if you genuinely want to learn, then you will go, oh, I hadn't thought about that. That's a good one. Yeah, I could do that one. You see, it gives you hope. So that is a really important thing. The other thing is if you keep hearing yes, but, yes, but, yes, but, and the argument just continues, this is somebody who doesn't want to change, and that's okay. Let them be where they are, because I believe everybody is going at their own speed, and their speed is the right speed for them. But you see, yeah, Linda's going, oh, the envy monster. Well done. Trust Linda to hit it right on the head there. Yeah. So it was true. Yeah, Emma was having a little bit of an envy issue, which for an Irish person is a good thing, right? Little green. Yeah. It's like the little leprechaun was green with envy. I understand that. Right. So again, do you understand that once you hear an option that you think you can deal with, your stress level starts to drop, which is awesome. So yeah, Emma's laughing now. So think about that. Whenever you're trying to help somebody, give them enough options that they can find one. How many times have you heard me say this? Don't tell me what you can't do. All right. I'm interested in what can you do, because Emma chose to change her mind in order to pass the exam. That is somebody that takes a step forward in life. That isn't somebody that wants to stay stuck. I now know at a whole different level that Emma wants to pass this exam because it was easier for her to blame the other person and not pass. It would have been easier, quite honestly. She could have stayed in her little space, but she didn't. She chose to take a step in the right direction, which tells me that Emma really wants to do this. She really wants to pass. So understand that if you're trying to calm somebody down, right, let's just make sure we got this. If you're trying to calm somebody down, make sure that you give them the sort of options that you think will work for them. I'm going to come up with 2 other small case studies this evening, where I really had to think about the other person a great deal to give them the right options that I thought would help. But it was a case of I had to really think about the other side. With Emma, can you see that I needed to think, what value did the study buddy have to Emma? What, in my view, as an outsider, not caught up in the emotion. And I went, wow, what I would give to have somebody that understood the subject that well, that could get those sort of marks. I would love this person as a study buddy. But again, I had to ask myself, what would I have to let go of to appreciate them? All right, that was the trick. What did Emma have to let go of in order to appreciate the value of her study buddy? And that is the essence of it. Something had to give. Either Emma was going to stand solid and go, how dare you do this to me? I told you not to. And by the way, a lot of us would have supported her in that. How could a friend do that to you? Da, 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 da. But it wasn't what it was about. It was about, do you want to pass this exam, Emma? Because if so, I'd like to give you 10 out of 10 for getting the ultimate study buddy to help you. So that is why I called this particular broadcast Apples and Oranges. You see, it all depends where you see it. Emma was seeing life from one way, and because of that, somebody was a loser. Do you understand that? It was like that on the graphic. Somebody got to drop and somebody got to be high. You see, what I wanted to do was to get that teeter-totter, or seesaw, as they call it in England, to balance out, to see. Now, can any of you see that Emma might be of great value to the superphysics expert? And by the way, for those of you watching this on the replay, if you can feel what Emma was feeling and relate to it, and if what she did subsequently helps you see how you could think differently in future, can you make sure that you leave Emma a note to thank her for being brave enough to discuss it? Because to me, imagine if she hadn't given me permission to talk about it, which, by the way, would have been very easy to do. Very easy to say to me, no, Sal, that's, I don't want people hearing about this. But she didn't. She said, if you think it will help anybody, you go right ahead. So I consider that a pay it forward with bells on. And Emma, I want to say to you that was the greatest gift, the greatest gift to yourself as well, because the fact that you could let me talk about it tells me that you are growing emotionally at a huge pace, because so many people wouldn't have wanted that. And I am hoping that people who listen to this broadcast or watch it on the replay, will take the time to congratulate you on smart thinking. All right. And so, Emma, how long did you spend, I hate to word it this way, but actually, being green with envy? How many hours or days did you end up? Ah, that's so cute. Emma's saying the greatest gift I was given was your wisdom. That's my wisdom. Every young person needs a figure like you. Well, every smart young person, yes. Well, not that I'm always right, Emma, you understand that. But I think the important thing is that we can talk about it and get a different viewpoint. Yeah, Jody's saying, I'm so proud of you, Em. Yeah, I want to tell you, that was my total feeling when I heard what she was up to. This, the other thing is this, Emma. When you sit this exam in May and pass it, because I truly believe that you will know that you did what you needed to do to pass. Okay, so listen to the honesty from Emma. She said it took weeks. And you know what? It still pops up, but I'm not allowing it to control my actions. I'm acknowledging my emotions and that they are brain related only. Yeah, the tutor thinks that a pass is enough. Exactly. So, yes, so you understand, and for those of you who might not have seen those broadcasts, and we keep discussing this because we're working on our emotional intelligence. Oops. And one of the things, I got a pen that's not bothering to write right now, so let me change pens here. Normally I check that before I even start the broadcast, but this wasn't the day apparently. Let me just do this. There we go. Okay, so I find this interesting, that I shortened emotion to M. All right, so what we have been discussing is that all our thoughts have to travel through our emotional brain to get to our rational brain. And the trick was to get Emma out of emotion and get her to rationally think about where the good news, good stuff was. The good stuff for Em was this person can help you pass. And maybe more than pass if you do your work. Okay, so Linda's saying her son, Jody, I just want to give, guess who didn't plug in her computer again? Hold on 1 second there. Jody, I want to give you a time mark for 32 seconds. This time I've got it all here. I just didn't literally plug it in. So we're going to have a bit of a discussion about all the parts of this now. But first, let me read what Linda had to say. Her son had a promotion at work. He was asked a few questions, answers were given from both sides, and his employees liked that. And guess what, Val? His employers watched me and said he was smart watching me. Wow. Yes, so when he answered their questions, he saw the balance. Yeah, all right. So now I'm really having a bit of a problem now. That is amazing. I really am quite surprised. I've always said, Linda, you never know who's watching. And that gives me goosebumps. So hello, employers, and good call, because that's one heck of a good guy. Right? So, this is about, it's really important that we understand all the parts of this. So let's have a little bit of discussion. How many of you totally understood why Emma was upset? All right, I have to put my son to bed. Okay, no problem. Thanks for sharing, Sal. I sure hope it helps somebody. Oh, I think you will be surprised how many people it helps. You may never know about it, Emma. Neither will I. But I can assure you this story will help a lot of people. Well done. And thank you for letting me share it. Big round of applause. You understand the sharing of it, that the different parts of it are important. I'm going to have a bit of a talk. Yeah, and Jody's thanking you, and I'm certain you'll have other people thanking you. Yeah, big hugs, Emma. Well done. Happy Valentine's Day +1. So, the strange things was, though, for me, when I first heard Emma say, and she's getting distinctions, and, I could so feel that emotion. Right? There was part of me going, yeah. And then she said, but I did speak to her and ask her not to do that. And I thought, that's adult. And then when the smart person kept talking about how well they'd done, I could understand why Emma was hurt. And I'm certain that you can as well, right? Have any of you been in Emma's situation where, you had somebody way smarter than you do that? I found that with YouTube, for example, that, there are so many nerds around YouTube. And I can remember when I first decided to watch Sean Cannell's thing about ranking. I want to tell you, I totally lost it. There was so much information to take in, and my two brain cells were having a real problem with it. And I realized that it was just like, I can't do this. I can't think at that speed. I can't process at that speed. Have any of you felt that feeling? Where you're going, they make it sound so easy. And, I just took the first 3 steps of 532, and I was struggling to understand the first 2 steps. Have any of you ever been there? And it was interesting because what it did to me was devastating. I was sitting at my computer in tears, going, I must be stupid. Because there were other people on the course that were getting this quite easily, apparently. And I wasn't. It wasn't easy. And I struggled and I struggled and I struggled. And eventually I said, slow down. If it takes you 2 weeks to understand a principle that the other person takes 2 seconds on, that's what it takes. And it doesn't mean you're stupid. It means that they probably are a lot younger and the concepts make a lot more sense to them than they do to you. So be kind to yourself here. And the funny thing is, I continued to struggle with every concept. And quite honestly, I still continue to struggle. But I can tell you that it is pretty interesting to me that where I can now talk to people. It was interesting. Somebody said to me, I don't know if I mentioned that, but I'm part of a group. And one of the people in the group said, I wonder if anybody will listen to me because I'm over 40. And I said, well, yeah, here's the thing. I'm 72 this year. And 1.2 million people have listened to me. So the answer is yes. Even if you do it totally wrong, even if you mess it up, even if you don't have the best camera in the world, the answer is yes. Because if you're doing something that people need to hear, then you people will listen to you. So this is the whole thing, that I never know who's listening. And so to me, this is really magical. Yeah, Jody is saying, yeah, it makes me feel less than, but eventually I'm able to feel my own self-confidence again and know that I have my own areas of strength. Yay. And that I just learn at the pace that I learn. That's right. Yeah, absolutely, Jody. And that's what I had to do to myself. I can remember as well. Wow, that's interesting. Linda's saying, I'm not sure if I'm going to repeat that because I'm not sure if they would want me to repeat it, Linda. So, but the interesting thing is, apparently these people of whom she spoke watch me every week. That is amazing. And hello, nice to meet you there. And I really appreciate that you made the call you did. So to me, this is like, think about this, right? In your reality, think about it. When you are around somebody that's really smart, it is absolutely normal, I believe, to have that moment of thinking, yikes, I must be that stupid. And I'm certain, if you're honest with yourself, we have all felt that. Yeah, and they make it look so easy. I can remember people saying to me time and time again, when I was on stage, boy, I wish I could speak like you do. And I said, try doing it for 20 years. You know what I mean? Try being on stage for 20 years. You'll be amazed how well you do. But if you don't stand up and take the risk, if you, and I think about Emma on this one, all right, she took the risk of actually telling me the truth. Because let's be honest, it wasn't something that she necessarily was very proud of. But what she initially wanted, I believe, and she's not here to confirm it, but I'm sure she will. What I really do believe was the first time she contacted me, she wanted me to agree with her. Well, no, the first time was about not taking the exam, and that was good. But I think when she first contacted me about the fact that she had asked for her not to boast about her scores, and then she did. I'm pretty sure Emma thought I was going to say, you don't need friends like that. Right? Because how many of you would agree with that? I don't want somebody that when I ask them not to do it, they still continue to do it. But you have to think again, okay, I asked them not to do that and they're still doing it, but do I still want them as a friend? Now, the reason that I say that is I have somebody in fact, a couple of people in my life that continue to call me Sally. Right? And I can tell them until I'm blue in the face that actually I do prefer Sal. And they go, okay, Sally, fine. You know what I mean? But I know that they love me dearly. It's not about me. It's about somewhere in their background, they were taught never to shorten somebody's name. Right? And it's ingrained in them not to do it. And so when I look at the people who have chosen not to shorten my name, I'm pretty confident that I've got it down to the people who were taught not to do it. It was disrespectful. And even if you are told, please don't do that. Now, I've always said to people, what people call you is very personal. So if I come across a Patricia, for example, I will always ask, do you prefer to be called Patricia, or is it Patty, or is it Pat? And you will get a pretty solid answer. I hate to be called Pat. You know what I mean? Or, only my mother ever got to call me Patricia. See, they will tell you, or then you get the people who say it doesn't matter. And I go, yes, actually, to me, it does matter. I would like to know which you prefer. I might get it wrong, but I would like to know which one you prefer. And I will do my best to try and call you by that. So if you can feel that our ingrained training sometimes gets the better of us, all right, whatever, and especially, and I think about this, sorry, Mom, when I think about the ingrained training that I had, it's scary. Yes, now Linda's saying she will answer, that's a lovely name. How would you prefer that I use your name? Okay, now that's way more polite than I am. I will just go, okay, and do you prefer Patricia, Patty, or Pat? Or is there another version? Some people will, have something completely different. Actually, I prefer Bozo Brain. Okay, Bozo Brain, let me call you that. It's just like, sometimes you just don't know, because especially I found in England, I haven't been there for many, many years. But, in England, people have got nicknames. They don't do it as much over here, but, almost, do any of you relate to that? Where, people actually have nicknames and they are called by their nickname more than they're ever called by their rightful name. And I don't just mean by their parents. I mean by all their buddies and everything else. And I think, that is a very British thing, that people call you by a nickname rather than your real name. I'm never quite sure where all that came from, but I know it happens a great deal. So my lesson for today is about what do we need to let go of in order to be happy. Can you see that Emma needed to let go of being told somebody else did well in order to be happy? And that was her stuff, because she, all right, because she kept getting stuck in that first brain. Oh, wrong. Seriously, I just changed pins. Oh, I just used the wrong one again. Guess that one needs to be ditched. Okay. So, all right, that she kept getting stuck in emotion and therefore couldn't get to reality or rational. And so I'm pretty sure that all of you. All right, so this is Linda saying, in order to move from emotion to rational, we have to let go of criticism. Okay? Do you understand? We have to let go of some of our ego. Anything else? Is there anything else we need to let go of? Yeah, so criticism, our ego. What else do we need to let go of so we can go into rational? Pride, yeah. You know, you're asking, is pride the same? It's different for different people, Jody. So that's okay. Put it in there. Our pride, right? And my pride that I only just pass. Okay, it's linked to ego. I understand why you're questioning it. It is linked, but it's like it's a different feeling for some people. And therefore, both are important. And I'm just trying to think what else. She had to let go of looking stupid. All right? Because it's possible that she felt that by discussing it, she would look stupid. Do you understand? In order to talk to me, she had to let that bit go. Now, here is the next thing. If we take this in terms of our emotional intelligence, all right? Do you understand that she could have stayed right here and she would have had justification? Yes, Jody's saying she let herself be vulnerable. And that was the key to why I knew she wanted to pass that exam, big time. Because if she hadn't been that keen, you've heard me say sometimes, if I paid you $1 million, would you be able to do it? You know, and that's the reason I do that is somebody said that to me one time. There was something that I was really struggling to do. And I said, oh, you know, I really don't think I can do that. And they said, well, if I paid you $1 million to do it, you think you could do it? And I went, yeah. And they said, well, I'm not going to pay you $1 million, but you already know how to do it, because in that moment, you worked out how to do it, right? And I went, yeah. So can you understand that Emma could have stayed stuck and justified it with her rational lies? All right? I thought she had the perfect excuse, quite honestly, and she didn't. She wanted to pass that desperately. Very interesting situation. So to me, as we go through this year, if any of you have any stories like this that you care to share with me, please do that, because, you know, it helps other people to see what's going on. I took a huge step this year to talk about our emotional intelligence because I realized it was a huge subject and one that wasn't easy to talk about. But I really hope that it is helping you guys at some level. And if it is, can you tell me what it is that you have found helpful so far? Yes, Linda's making a very good point. It takes courage to follow your own path. Yes, not to go with the flow, but to follow your own path. Yeah. Anything else that you've learned so far about our, as we take this journey with our emotional intelligence? How many of you can see, as Linda's son did, that when you can see things from both sides, you are emotionally intelligent? In other words, it's just not, I want to be right. This is about, let me hear the other person's point of view and let me see it from both sides. Niasha, I thank you for letting me know I fixed it. For those of you who don't know, somebody accidentally nuked Niasha from the broadcast a couple of weeks ago. And it's taken me 2 weeks to find out how to correct that. But Niasha, I did it. Thank you so much for letting me know. And Niasha, please don't take it personally. The person who nuked you will be horrified to hear what happened. I have to tell you that, because we know him better than you do. And I'm pretty certain he will be horrified to hear that happened. I just want to make a reminder to all my mods that nuking somebody on YouTube is much more dangerous. It is much more powerful than it is on any of the other platforms. And so please be very, very careful and check with me before you actually nuke somebody, because it also took 2 weeks of my life to get Nyasha back. It's my pleasure, Nyasha, and I'm so glad that you are back. All right, so Jody's saying, I have so much enjoyed exploring the emotional intelligence cell. The length of time it takes to process things from the emotional to the rational brain. Yes, and also, Jody, I have noticed that your speed of doing that has increased dramatically. All right, so Linda's saying to stand up tall, square your shoulders and face the world and accept that I'm not everybody's favorite, but I am good enough. Yes, the same way, Linda, as I understand that I, haven't got 6.8 million viewers, but I am good enough to help people, all right? Because I get confirmation of that every week, all right, that it does help. And from you as well about third-party people that I've never even heard of. Bless their hearts, but obviously very wise people. So, you look at it and you go, it's really important. All right. So, and Nyasha, I want to give you 10 out of 10 for not being so angry at it, what happened, that you didn't bother to come back again. You see, what I found out without any doubt, Nyasha, is that you really do like to be part of the program, because you hung in there and made sure that I could get you back again. And I realize that part of it is the input that you get to have during the broadcast. And the reason that we know that for sure is because that was the bit you missed. That was the bit that was upsetting you. It wasn't that you couldn't listen anymore or watch it on the replay. What you really found beneficial was being able to talk during the cast. So you think about that and you go, when we actively listen to people, do you understand that when I listened to Emma, I knew pretty much for 100% that what Emma's goal was not to win friends and influence people, but to pass the exam. Does that make sense to everybody? When I listened to Emma talk to me about the frustrations, what I heard was, my goal is to pass the exam. So I kept hold of that. Every time I talked to her, that's what's in the back of my mind is, I know what her goal is here. Her goal is to pass the exam. So the question that I have of you is, how many of you saw the picture of my, or the video even, of the painting of the umbrella? And how many of you could see that that was a huge risk to take in many ways, because I'd never done it before and I was pretty sure it was going to make a terrible mess of my house and da 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 da. All right. And how many of you thought it looked really pretty when it was finished? And the question is, was it worth taking the risk to get that result? Linda loved the Broly video. Okay. So this is what I want you to really get. Okay. So are we talking emotional or rational at the moment? Okay. We're going to do another little study on this one. Was it perfect? Was it whatever? Or are you in emotion about it, or are you in reality about it? What do you think? All right, so Nyasha's talking back about what happened to her, and she said, yeah, and it's very educational. It was a bit hurt. I was a bit hurt, but I realized that this was exactly the topic we're on, exactly, emotional versus rational thinking. So I sort of tried not to get hurt. It was difficult. You bet it's difficult. You and everybody else that's learning along with us. We all have a lot to learn. Okay, so Linda just enjoyed it and laughed. Why did you laugh? I think I know why, but why did you laugh? I think you've known me long enough and I've known you long enough to know why you laughed. My question is, did it look like fun to you? Anybody? This is the painting of the umbrella. I actually painted an umbrella, and because I was playing. It was very emotionally pleasing to me. Yeah, I quite agree. Now then, take a deep breath, everybody. What if I told you I've ruined it? What happens to your emotion? Let's see what reaction I get. Because what you all, but I still got to play. That is a rational thought. All right? Regardless of what happened to the umbrella, I still got to play. And Linda saying, and I love to see you smile and hear you giggle. You see, you could feel my emotion, and that was extremely selfish of you in the nicest possible way, but that pleases you, right? You love to see me enjoy myself. And you could probably see me hacking paint at this thing. Way too much paint. So interesting, nobody's asked me how did I ruin it? Yeah, nobody really cares. So the interesting thing that I hadn't thought about is that you probably heard me say, I'm going to leave it to dry for a number of days before I close it. And I actually left it for 3 days to try and make sure that it was pretty well dried. But what I forgot, and it's a learning moment, what I forgot is that this particular umbrella is one of those new ones, and instead of folding the usual way, which is all of it folds down. It was one of these ones that folds up. Do you know what I'm talking about here? So that it contains the water. And then, worse than that, I then rolled it up. So now it's got pressure points here, here, and here, plus it's got fold points here, here, and here. And the other thing that I didn't give thought to was the fact I've now got paint against paint. And so when I went, did it crack? Yes, but worse than that, Jody, where there was paint against paint, it didn't actually crack. No, sorry. What it did was everywhere where there was paint against paint, it pulled the second layer of paint out. In other words, when I opened it up, it would pull the paint off it. Now, what I've learned, because that's what experiments are all about, what I've learned is in future, I will get umbrellas that work the old-fashioned way, where they go straight down so that there aren't any pressure points. Does that make sense? And I will think about whether to seal them, maybe with varnish or something. I will do an experiment on that, to seal it with varnish so that this paint against paint thing doesn't happen. Now, so do you understand, did any of you feel the heartbreak of what that felt like when I opened it and ruined it? Did any of you go, oh no, it was so pretty? Okay, so let's see, what did I have to let go of to get back into here? After it took me 4 hours to paint, after it took me, all that cleanup time, after I wasted all that paint because, the paint is now wasted, at great cost, if you think about it. How did I move from emotion to rational? What did I have to let go of here? And it has to do with the Emma story. So think about that. So does it make sense that in order I chose to remind myself, you knew this was an experiment. You'd never done it before. And nobody can take away the fun you had, Linda, the fun you had doing it, right? That, regardless of what happened to the umbrella, nobody can take away the fun you had doing it or the learning that you had doing it. And so, yes, Jody's saying, I had to let go of my hurt. All right. Also, how about my perfectionism? Yes, and that's what Jody's saying, right? You could focus, if I focused on what I had learned from the experiment, I would be able to move on. Good. Hi there, Madowix. Oh, you're about to try cooking, cooking scones in a halogen oven. Yes, I do have some tips for you. Did you put butter in the scones? That's what I just want to check, because I know when I did it, I actually had butter in the scones, and I was quite surprised how the butter leached out of the scones, but made them crispy. All right, Nyasha, great question. While we're waiting for Medowix to answer that for me. Did I get emotional, or did I just ignore it and go straight into rational? I'm trying to understand how to get there. Good. Hi, Erin. Yes, what I did was quite honestly, I went, oh, short word, not polite. That's a pity. Oh, well, I had fun and I learned a lot. And I know what I would do the next time. So yes, quite honestly, I had a split second here. And then I moved straight into rational. I would recommend putting them on the lower level Metawix, and I would put them on at about 350. Probably they won't take much more than 10, 15 minutes. You're doing savory ones. What fun. Hi, Nada. All right, so can you all see that the only thing I had to do, same with Emma, the only thing I had to do to get out of emotional and go to rational was to let go of some stuff. I can remember many years ago, I ran a full day presentation on people with stuff. You know what I mean? Because I think we all have the stuff. Yes, and that's the whole point, all right? That you have to go through, the mind thought goes through emotional to get to rational. As long as you understand that, what is emotionally intelligence is how much time do you spend in the emotion? Or can you switch out of that and go to rational pretty quickly? Okay, Nada, go for it. Oh, you know something, Metawix? I'm delighted that you bothered to pop in and ask me about it, quite honestly. I'm quite surprised. I need to do a bit more with my halogen because I'm amazed how many people have been writing to me about those videos that I did. And by the way, I still have mine, I still use it, and I'm still so glad that I've got it. Yes, exactly, Nyasha. So Nyasha, if you can learn, so the first thing to hit was sadness and perfection. Sadness, perfection, and there was a touch of loser in there. Like, how could I be so stupid? All right? All right? But if I could let go of those, I could see it's just an umbrella. And by the way, I bought it at the dollar store. Right? And we want to know, Metawix, we want to know how those savory scones worked. Oh, doesn't it do the greatest crackling in the world? Yeah. I actually will get some more of going on there. All right, so do you understand? It's what do you need to let go of so you can be rational again? And so, you managed to pick one up for $15. Yeah, it's amazing. For those of you who are trying to get new gizmos, I always say don't ever buy a new exercise machine. 75% of the world use their exercise machines as clothes hangers. So if you want an exercise machine, just look at the buy and sell type things, and you're going to pick one up for next to nothing. It does chicken amazingly well. Yes. Did you do a whole chicken or did you do chicken pieces? And we got to be the only chat room where we can discuss cooking and emotional intelligence all at the same time. Do I do counseling here as well? I am not a counselor. I'm a human being. But actually, some people have contacted me to do one-on-one stuff. And yes, I would. Yeah, actually, Minox, if there's anything that you would like me to talk about or want to discuss, you just go right ahead. Just give me permission to talk about it out loud or not. In other words, if you put okay at the end, I know it's okay for me to talk about it. If you'd rather talk about it privately, write to me at DearMamaSal@gmail.com. All right. So, Nyasha, so can you see that in order to move on any subject, we're going to do 2 more this evening, where I'm going to demonstrate in different ways what we need to let go of to take the other step. Okay. Oh, I can see why that happened. Okay, fine. Sorry, I'm just got something going on that I didn't quite get. All right, so Linda's saying she's still using her treadmill, 5 miles a day, every other day, and not using it as a clothes horse yet. Well done. Minowex, I'll come chat another time. You're going to a mindfulness class this week. Awesome. All right, so guys, what I'm going to do is do a bit more on this subject this evening with a couple of other case studies that I thought that you would find useful, because it's all about what do we need to let go of to move on. And to me, that is really awesome. By the way, the reason I stopped for a second is both Jody and Nada at the same time were trying to give out my information, and I love you both for that. It was awesome. Yes, Nyasha's saying, yes, I have to practice those every day of my life to see if I finally understand the concept. But I do understand what you're saying. Nyasha, don't beat up on yourself. We all have to practice it every day. Don't have to, we may choose to. Yes, Meadowix is saying, I don't need an exercise machine. I just need to do my housework and go walking. Yeah, and quite honestly, you do. By the way, I do want to confirm for those of you who have been following my progress, I have now, I think you know that I lost 5 pounds in that first month, and then I put 3 on because I was away for that week in hotels and eating hotel food and stuff. I'm pleased to tell you I've now dropped that 3 pounds, so I'm still back at minus 5 pounds. And I am really proud of myself. And I have done it without any major dieting. I have just done it in a very easy way. For those of you who are subscribers, I'm going to be sending out the link and the code that you can put in so you can read, because I am writing exactly what is happening to me week by week, which I'm hoping will make sense to a lot of you. It's some days are easier than others, and some of the physiological things that are happening to me are interesting, quite honestly. Hi, Kimmy, good to see you. So we're going to move on to our countdown. Let me do that quickly. As I said, it's Jenny Jen's birthday, and Jody, if you can put a timestamp of 1 hour and 13 minutes. Let me do the countdown. For those of you who want to know, we have 312 days until Christmas. We have just 33 days until spring. How many of you enjoyed watching the pictures of Vancouver get hit by a monumental snowstorm, the like of which I have not seen in my time in Canada? No, Nyasha, you need to sign up. I believe. If you have problems, let me know. Did you tell me add me to the list? If you actually wrote and said add me to the list, then that's what I will do. You need to put in the subject line, yes to the subscriber list. Hang on, let me type that so that you can copy and paste it. Right? So I will be doing that. By the way, for those of you who need to know, I will also be putting advance warning of new products that are going in. when I send out to the subscribers. You guys will always get advance warning of any new stuff that I put into the shop. All right, so 33 days until spring if you live in the Northern Hemisphere. If you live in the Southern Hemisphere, you just got 33 days of summer left, and after that, you're going into fall. The snow was crazy, yes. It was a polar vector thing, yes, I know. What is that? It is just like when it just, yeah, it just, you know, the air comes down and then goes back up and collects more cold and comes back down and collects more cold. And that's what it was doing. And it was nasty. And it was just like, you know, you have to understand that where I live, if we get 2 inches of snow, you know, this is called a snow day. You know, we start getting really panicky at 2 inches. We go, no, actually, to be fair, I would say 6 inches we call snow day. We got over 12 inches of snow. I think we got up to about 14 if I did the math correctly. It was just like, hello, we're not called New Hampshire, you know. We're Vancouver. But apparently, you know, the snow gods didn't understand that. So I'm hoping they've done now. Kimmy, you have to email it to me, unfortunately. And I'm pretty sure that Nada and Jody will both give you the email if you don't have it already. I need it in writing. So under the new law, you know, you have to physically ask me to be added. Does that make sense? It's not that I'm being picky. It's under the law. I have to make sure that you have asked me and that I can prove it. Then I will cut and paste it with your email address and everything where you know, I just cut and paste the date and everything all together. Yeah, there you go. Okay. All right. So 33 days until spring. I guess the next thing we need to keep track of, if you wouldn't mind reminding me, Jody, is Easter. I think that's the next one that comes up, right? All right. Linda's saying, letting go to move on was my biggest issue, Sal. I use a Sal phrase. I choose. But after 15 years being on my own, have had a family member who stepped up and backed my corner, humbling and scary. Somebody actually supported you? Is that what you're saying, Linda? I just want to make sure I understood that correctly. Yeah, it is amazing when we stand up for what we believe. It's amazing. You find out a number of things. You find out who only liked you when you were being nice. I always think that when you stand up for what you believe, you find out who your true friends are, not your pretend friends. All right, so we're going to do... Yeah, Judy was saying, yeah, they are obviously south of me. Oh, thank you very much. Jody's saying we've got 65 days until Easter. Wow, that's not very long either, is it? It's on April the 21st this year. Thanks, Jody. Can you just remind me about that later so that I can add it in? I don't think it's a prolonged winter because I can remember having snow here, be it 2 inches in April once. So that I don't think it's prolonged. Wow. So you've got a cousin that came out of the blue to support you. Isn't that wonderful? The fact that your cousin came out of the blue is wonderful. And the fact that he supports you is even better. I am delighted for that. You see, if we really let go of all the stuff, the stress, the judgments and everything else, if we let go of the stuff and just let life unfold as it should, it's amazing what happens. You see, Linda, when you started to stand up for what you honestly believe, as opposed to the things that you thought everybody wanted you to believe, it's amazing what happens to you and your family. And I think that is the most important thing. The reason I do this work is not for any other reason. I wish somebody had taught me this when I was in my 20s. I really do. And what I said was, well, if that is true, why don't you start talking about it? And no, I'm not a psychiatrist or a psychologist or anything like that. I don't have that magic piece of paper, but I do have the experience of doing it wrong. All right, Kimmy's saying that I should be grateful because she's saying it doesn't stop snowing here until May. Yeah, I got a feeling Tyler would say the same thing. So here's our first quote. Progress is impossible without change. And those who cannot change their minds cannot change anything. Can you all see that Emma chose to change her mind on things? And that's why she is where she is. Very, very important. Right? That progress is impossible without change, and those who cannot change their minds cannot change anything. So really what emotional intelligence is about is your ability to change your thinking up and move on. All right, not to get stuck in emotion, but to go, okay, fine, yeah, that happened, yeah, right, it is what it is, on. Not that I choose to spend 2 weeks feeling sorry for myself on this one. This happened, let me move on. Or you will remember, right, when I got the diagnosis of diabetes, I didn't say, oh, that's not fair. Da, da, da. I said, oh, self-inflicted wound. Okay, what do I need to do? You see, I didn't spend a whole lot of time thinking how sorry I was for myself that I was going to have to stop eating Mars bars. That would not have helped me at all. Wow. Bless you, Kimmy, for saying that. The thing is not, my thing here is to try and talk about these things in a way that regular people just get it. You know what I mean? Because I want to tell you, Kim, when I was doing therapy, and I did, because I really wanted to change some of my thinking and I was having trouble with it, I kept saying, why are the books on this so difficult? Why don't they just say it in English? And so people can understand it. And it was so funny because I remember the therapist I went to, he said to me, Sal, why don't you just talk about it in English and so people can understand? Because if anybody is capable of putting this stuff into English, it's you. Thank you, Kimmy. I am glad that you get more from this than you do from a psychiatrist. But this isn't, to me, I think when you can understand it in logic, I don't think. I know, Kim, that I understood it intellectually. All right, they would give me these concepts and I would understand it intellectually. But how come I couldn't deal with it emotionally? And then I thought, that's what the problem is. The problem is we get stuck in emotion. And that is why, as you know, I started having a look at emotional intelligence and seeing what do they consider to be emotionally intelligent and how could I pass this on to you in ways that would make sense? And I think, and bless you, Jody. Jody's saying, Kimmy, Sal, and the group have helped me much more effectively than many years of therapy. Wow, that's pretty good. And only because you wanted the help. I don't think we could have helped you if you didn't want the help. I said the same thing, though, Jody. I know that people who had struggled with addictions, I was addicted to smoking and sugar and stuff. People who had experience of addiction helped me a great deal, more so in some ways. But I did find one really good therapist, so that is important to know. Okay. Einstein said, we cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used to create them. Let's go. How many of you can see that? In order to solve our problems, we can't be thinking the same way as we did when we got the problem. Wow. Linda's saying, Sal, I've known you for 4 years now. Couldn't have done most of it without you. Wow. Ty, thank you. It's so appreciated. Those around me are grateful, and I'm sure. All right, she's having a latte. She's having coffee made with milk. Yeah, we like that. Yes, and it's interesting, isn't it, Kimmy? Kimmy's saying, does anyone go to a psychiatrist and they only focus on anger and want to put you on medication? Yes, that's what, and I don't know about you, but I found the words, and what do you think about that? This is, it started to drive me stark staring and saying, if I knew, what I thought about that, I wouldn't be standing here, or sitting here. That's what I'm trying to work out. I don't know what I'm thinking about. And so part of my journey is to try and help people see what they're thinking about. The world belongs to humanity, not to leaders, kings, or religious leaders. I would like to say that I believe that we all have the ability to change the world in our own way. I believe that what you learn today, you probably, how many of you have passed some of the knowledge that you've gained onto other people? How many of you today deal with problems in your immediate circle differently because of the work we've done here? And if you have, you will understand that that is the greatest gift that we can give, is to actually learn and then pass that information on. That's why I always said, what if I passed on to people what I have learned? Not that I'm right all the time. I don't believe I am, but I can tell you what I think, and do regularly. So, all right, so Jody's saying, I had a therapist that wanted to focus more on her issues than why I was there to see her. Yeah, I know that one too. All right. And Jody's attitude was, that's great, but could we do this over coffee after the appointment that I'm paying you $125 for? Yeah, I totally agree, Jody. Yeah. Wow, that's interesting. Nyash is saying that is exactly true. I can give you an episode I went through, which had me searching online for a motivator. And that is when I found DearMamaSal. That's interesting because I don't think I actually have the word motivator in or motivation in my site. That's interesting. So, Nyasha, I believe you found me because when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. I've always said that, Jody, you've been with me quite a while and you've heard me say it time and time again. I believe my job and the job of the group is just to keep turning up. The people will find us. The people will find us. It's amazing how it happens. And I look at it and I have never judged, as you know, our worth by the number of people. I judged it by, did we help somebody today? And if the answer is yes, okay, let's keep doing it. Excuse me, I've got sinus issue now. The happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts. Therefore, guard accordingly and take care that you entertain no notions unsuitable to virtue and reasonable nature. In other words, what we think about is what we become. If we think negatively about the world and things around us, we will attract negativity. How many of you know that at some level I had to believe that I could paint an umbrella before I would dare do it? Does that make sense? But I also needed to make it fun because the chances were, because it was the first time, that I possibly could fail. And therefore, I wanted to have fun in the process. I also knew that if I did it, I would probably make a huge mess in my house that I'm busy trying to get ready to sell, and that would waste time. But I didn't care. It was time to get messy. I want to remind you all, Linda's comment here is the 10-minute moan. Bring it on for 10 minutes. You can moan. I love this. Linda, came up with this, and it's so true. I don't mind listening to you moan, but if you take more than 10 minutes, I'm going to cut you off. So, you've got 10 minutes today. If you want to do another 10 minutes tomorrow, great. But I'm only listening to 10 minutes of moaning. Then let's get on with life. You see what you're doing in that, Linda, if you can see that, what you're doing when you do that. There it is. Is you are forcing the person who is moaning out of their emotional and back into, wrong one, and back into rational. Can you see that? Because you're saying you've got 10 minutes here. Because isn't it true that when we're moaning, we're in emotional? And then we're saying, okay, now it's time to get on with your life. That's rational. By the way, if you want to go back for another 10 minutes tomorrow, that's fine. I'll listen to another 10 minutes. Yeah, and Niesha's saying, well, maybe I was ready, but I don't know. I've been trying for many years now. But in our country, the stereotyping, being judgmental and 100%, would eventually end in job eviction because nothing stays quiet. Yes, I understand that in small communities. Yes, I don't think it's forcing them to talk really fast, Jody. I think what it's doing is saying, you get 10 minutes in emotion, and after that, we're moving on with our lives. So you could talk very slowly for 10 minutes or very quickly. I would recommend people talk slowly and think about what they're saying. And I would suggest as well that, you go, hey, tomorrow when we do our 10 minutes, let's talk about some possible solutions to this. Why don't you give that some thought so that, we can talk about it tomorrow? Yeah, it's interesting. Kimmy's saying that's almost what the psychiatrist does, and they give you less than an hour. Yes, they do. They give you a 10-minute hour. Do you know why? Sorry, a 50-minute hour. Do you know why they give you a 50-minute hour? Took me a long time to understand that. How come I'm paying for an hour and I only get 50 minutes? You know me. It's like, hello, are you ripping me off here? Once I understood that, I got out of the emotion of it and got into the reality of it. And it made a lot of sense to me. They give you only 50 minutes because they need 10 minutes to wind up your file after you've left the room, and then open up the next one to be ready for the next person. Yes, Jody, I believe that we do get much more processing done when we are thinking and talking more slowly. So that is another thing I try to, you'll see me do that a lot, which is, why don't you write that to me so I can understand it better? The reason I ask people to write it to me is because normally we write more slowly than we think, even typing. When we type stuff, it slows the mind down a little bit. If you have to write it by hand, it really slows it down. All right, so Kimmy's saying that when she goes to the psychiatrist, she has to talk really fast so she doesn't leave anything out. Yes, you take notes, but maybe give this some thought, Kim. whether you're trying to fix the world in 1 hour. You see, I think you might actually gain a lot more from your appointments if you take 1 or 2 things per session. Because then you get to actually talk about something. If I come into an appointment with 25 notes, it's going to take the first 15 minutes for me to get through the 25 notes. And then where does the psychiatrist or therapist start? All right. So give that a bit of thought. Write down the 25 and have them in your day timer and just go, okay, today I'd like to work on 2 things, this one and this one. They're the ones that are causing me the most pain. And if I only had one, it would be this one. So start with that one. Do you understand? And then, and then just keep going and keep taking more. And I would really recommend that. You take maybe 3. Well, if you are rushing to get through 3, then think about that. Maybe take 1 at a time. If you have enough time to get to the second one, do it. List them in order of pain, not importance, of pain. Does that make sense, Jody? I wouldn't list them in order of importance. I would say, which ones are causing me the most pain? Emotional pain. I'd start with that one because that's the one I don't want in my life. Linda's saying, I decided my shoulders were only so big and issues and problems, etc., had to have limited space. And she said that her son and partner, when they come home, they actually ask how long I've got. And if one has had 10 minutes, the other's got 5. Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, when I look at the things I want to work on, my decision to work on emotional intelligence this year, because when I listen to what you as a group talk to me about, the most common things that I get emails about or that we talk about here are emotional issues. They are anxiety, social anxiety. They are, people judging you, So when I looked at it, I went, if I were to put all those things into one basket, what would that basket be? And I went, emotional intelligence. So if I spent a year discussing emotional intelligence, the chances are everybody will grow a bit. Well, Kimmy's saying I should write it down and then have the ones with the psychiatrist that we don't get to, so she can read them. Well, you know something, it is possible that by the time you get to the next meeting, you will have solved that first problem. So what I do, I don't have my day timer with me, but every month I write down things I'm trying to work on. And I would just somewhere on a day timer, or if you do it digitally, just keep a list. And, I'm certain you'll always have things to talk about. But when you read the list, go, which one is causing me the most pain? Which one am I having the most problem letting go of? Take that one. Okay. The thing is, they probably don't have a lot of time to read after you've gone. And they can have it in the file, but what happens if they have it in the file and the next time you come in, you've got something that's more important to you? They're going to probably start talking about the thing that's in the file, not the thing that's causing you the most pain. You might want to, Kimmy, start using a planner or a notebook. Yep, that's a good idea. I find the more I can get out of my brain and onto paper or onto the digital, the better. So Gilbrain, who I quote quite a bit, said, work is love made visible. That's why I do this, right? Wow. Did you see my body language on that? You see, that is why I always say to people, believe what you see, not just what you hear. Okay. If you cannot work with love, but only with distaste, it is better that you should leave your work and sit at the gate of the temple and take alms of those who work with joy. For if you bake bread with indifference, you bake a bitter bread that feeds but half a man's hunger. If you grudge the crushing of the grapes, your grudge distills a poison into the wine. And if you sing through, though as angels, and love not the singing, you muffle man's ears and the voice of the day and the voices of the night. Nyasha, basically, do everything you do with love, however small that job is, however small the pay is. And I'm saying this because I know, Nyasha, this is something that you are working on. Be grateful that you have a job and do it to the best of your ability, not do as little as possible. And you will find that if you do that, the job becomes more meaningful. The other thing is, I would find really great motivational stuff and download it so that I could be playing it through my earphones while I do that. Your job is pretty menial. So therefore, it would be a great time for you to study subconsciously by having earphones in and listening to really good stuff. All right, so Nyasha is saying, in order for an individual to grow, do they have to be on a schedule and keep a journal? Because I just go through life doing nothing. Well, I heard that if you spend your life, you can choose whether to spend your life working towards a goal or working towards nothing. That is your choice. I start each year with a couple of goals in mind, and I start each month with quite a few goals in mind, and I start each week with the best goals, the most important to me goals in mind. And so I don't know how the rest of you feel about that, but I think if you, hang on a second, let me just get it, just hold on. So, Nyasha, what I wanted to say is you don't have to spend money on getting a fancy daytimer or anything. You can just do this with scraps of paper. You can do it with Post-it notes stuck on your mirror. Let me just try and see here. Okay, these were my goals for February. And then you will find that, as I work through, I'm just going to go back a week because I actually did 1 week of a month almost of trying to work it online. I find I don't do as well when I work online. So this is what the week looks like, right? So to me, it's like I like being able to cross it out and go, I did that. And if I go back here to, the notes I had for January, most of them are already crossed off. So even though they were big goals, I will go back at the end of the month, go back over January and February, just to make sure I haven't missed anything. And so, I already have March starting up pretty well. And if things come to my mind, then it's a case, Nyasha, of is this something I want to accomplish this month or is it later? If it's later, I'll put it into the next month to start thinking about it. Hi, Jamie, good to see you. So the only reason that we don't accomplish our goals, if I can talk to that for a second, Nyasha, is because we don't have any. Because it has been my experience that when I have a goal, I normally achieve it. How many of you have found that? Now, it might take me longer than some people may want, but I'm pretty good about achieving the goals that I set for myself in some way. Sometimes I find that in not reaching the goal is the lesson. That I tried 101 ways to do it and it still didn't work. So I'm going, do I still want to do it? And 9 times out of 10, yes. So then I just keep going. Sometimes my goals take me years. Literally something I thought would take me a month takes me a couple of years to achieve. But the main thing is it's still in my list of things I'd like to do. And painting an umbrella had been on my list for, I would think, at least a year. And I got to do it. So choose a job you love and you will never have to work a day of your life. Confucius said that. So some of us don't get to choose the job. I remember reading a wonderful story about a guy whose only skill apparently was making pizza. But what he wanted to do was to travel the world. And what he decided to do was to make a pizza in every country in the world and document it. And, he made himself a business just doing that. Because he was interviewed at every town he visited. He got a lot of publicity. He wrote the book. You know what I mean? It just was an incredible thing. So how many of you know the story about Colonel Sanders and how he got to be a millionaire? He was retired and out of money when he decided to sell chicken made by his wife to make money. You see, his wife had what he considered to be an awesome recipe for cooking chicken. And he was retired and out of money when he decided to do that. You see, it's never too late. And you all know that, he went on to build an empire with that. And it wasn't something really fancy. It was some recipe his wife had been using for years. And he went, if I like it, maybe other people will as well. He did okay for the family. Yeah, I think, Jody, we would agree on that. All right. I always say, I'm pretty sure that Mr. and Mrs. Gates were horrified when William decided to leave Harvard or Yale or wherever he was, and go and tinker in the garage with some guy called Wozniak or whatever. I mean, that was Steve Jobs, I think. But anyway, when he decided to go and work in the garage and write computer code for some company he decided to call Microsoft, it's like, can you imagine? Like, really? We paid for your education and this is what you're doing with it? I'm pretty sure they don't feel like that anymore. And so these are said to be your 3 greatest treasures. Let's see how you do on these. Simplicity, keep it simple. Patience, takes as long as it takes. And compassion. Remember to see both sides. These 3 are your greatest treasures. Simple in actions and thoughts. Don't get all tied up in this stuff. Stay in love. Right? You're patient with both your friends and enemies. I'm working and really working hard, understanding better the people who disagree with me all the time. Okay? Compassionate towards yourself. How many of you know you need to do a better job of that? How many of you know that this year would be a really good year for you to give yourself a bit more slack? Right? And to understand that maybe it does take you a little bit longer than the next person. So what? Do you still want to do it? Or do you want to give up on yourself? Nyasha, you know that getting you back onto the chat took me a lot of time that I didn't expect to have to take. Right? But you also know that I cared enough about you as a human being to keep learning until I found out the answer. Because, Nyasha, you might be a viewer sitting, where you are in Trinidad, and I could have said, well, it's not really, what do I care? Well, I do care, and I will hopefully always care. And therefore, I took the time. It wasn't easy. I felt a bit stupid at times, Nyasha, trying to work out, there must be an answer to this. I just haven't found it yet. And, asking for help is not my strong suit, so I didn't want to have to ask for help. But, I just kept, Google is a wonderful thing. I just kept Googling it until eventually I found, I think about the 8th time, I found somebody who said it in a way that it made sense. And I went, now I think I can fix it. Yeah. And so to me, think about that. All right. How much do you care? Do you care enough to take that extra time, even if it's time you hadn't planned on? Yeah, Nyasha, I am aware that you love to do things and to learn. You see, that's one of the gifts I know about you, and that you have proven to me time and time again, that you really do like to learn, and you really are prepared to do a lot of work when it's something that motivates you. But the truth is, if everything in your life motivated you, you would do so much more, right? And that is really what I would hope, is that more things will start to motivate you. Therefore, you will be happier because you're doing more, not just sitting around feeling sorry for yourself. And that is, I say that with all the love in the world, because I've been depressed in my life. And I do know that thinking never got me out of depression. Doing things got me out. In the pursuit of knowledge, every day something is added. In the practice of Tao, every day something is dropped. Less and less do you need to force things until finally you arrive at non-action. When nothing is done, nothing is left undone. True mastery can be gained by letting things go their own way. It can't be gained by interfering. Isn't that interesting, all right? So here I am saying, I did my way out of depression, and the Tao is saying everything at its own pace. What I believe in this is that I am responsible for my mind. I am responsible for keeping my mind clear of the negativity. And that is what I work on every day. I work at trying to see the best again in people and things, because life took that out of me. I allowed it to get changed. And my life is much happier because of that. For some of you, I'm struggling to learn how to be a diabetic and do things better. But there's another part of me that goes, I'm really going to be quite proud of myself when I go to see the dietitian next month and say, okay, fine. This is what I heard. This is what I've done. This is my average on this, this, and this. What is my next goal? You see, it is my goal to keep doing this at a speed that works for me until I've got it sorted. I'm noticing changes. Jody, are you still noticing changes in terms of the food that you want to eat? I am quite surprised, for example, yesterday morning, I really craved, for some reason, some leftover mashed potato. And just to give you some sort of example of how my mind has changed, I literally took like about 1/4 cup of mashed potato, and I mixed it with all sorts of vegetables and some bacon, and I fried it up, without any oil, just fried it in a pan with a little bit of, actually, no, I didn't put any oil in it. I had a nonstick pan. And I want to tell you, it was wonderful. you know, it just had that little taste of mashed potato, not a lot, but just a little taste. And, you know, bacon has become my new best friend. I hardly ever ate bacon before because I thought it was so bad for me. And I'm finding out, I'm allowed to eat bacon. Right, now listen to Nyasha. Nyasha's saying, Sal, I started to get depressed recently, again thinking about life. I found myself saying, stop. You've got nothing to gain from this. Also, I reminded myself that depression is anger turned inward. Also, I talked to myself a bit and got less and less. So all these tips are working well for me. You know something, Nyasha? You are working well for you. But it's amazing that you were able to just say stop. All right? Because when you said stop, in that moment that you said stop, that you got yourself, right? The stop got you out of emotion and started your walk back towards rational. I am so proud of you for being able to do that. You know, when I first met Jody, for example, Nyasha, she used to turn herself into an emotional pretzel over almost anything. She was responsible for everything in the world in some way or another when I first met her. You know, somebody wasn't happy. It was, she hadn't done enough. It was just amazing when I think about it. Jody is one of the most kind, gentle, and caring people. I'm certain that she's got part of her that none of us really want to visit too often when she gets upset with people. But the other part of it is that when I met her, that was her thing, which was, she really took responsibility for way too much. And it was really wonderful how she managed to change that in a very short space of time. So you keep doing the work, Nyasha. You'll find that just little bit by little bit, it'll all start making more sense. Wow. And Nyasha's saying, it was surprising to me. I needed these skills. We all need these skills, honey. It's not just you. All right. Kim, do me a favor. You know my name, right? DearMamaSal. DearMamaSal.com. Whenever you want to know the times, it has got one tab that says the broadcasts, I think. And it literally will tell you, it's there all the time, anytime you want to know when we're broadcasting. No, Jody, don't do that. It's on the website. See, here she goes. She's going to do Kim's work for her. All right. You know what she did? Now listen, this is Jody, right? Jody already had that somewhere in her, Jody does all this admin stuff. and she does it all on a phone. Go figure that one. How she does it, I don't know. Anyway, so never mind, Jody. Thank you for being who you are. We do appreciate it. But Kim was more than capable. Now, the reason I wanted Kim, the reason I want you to know about the website is because you probably won't cut and paste this and print it out somewhere, right? So the next time you think about that, I just need to go to the website, it's on there. That's the point I'm trying to make. And Jody, you understand that Kim is a smart cookie, all right? She's more than capable of going to the website. I have every faith in Kim's ability to do that. All right, now here's a really nice one for all of you. Kim, if I'm wrong on that one, let me know, right? If you're really not a smart cookie, smart enough to go to the website, let me know. I really don't want to enable a smart person because I got a feeling you are way smarter than people give you credit for. You were an enabler in that one, Jody, yes, but I'll give you a pass on that one. I'm certain Kimmy is very, very grateful. All right, here's the last quote for today, or this part of today. We'll do some more tonight. Don't take anything personally. How about that? Don't take anything personally. Nothing others do is because of you. What others say and do is a projection of their own reality, their own dream. When you are immune to the opinions and actions of others, you won't be their victim and have needless suffering. That is the subject for tonight, by the way. Not taking things personally. How many of you are going, I need that one? So everybody, I hope this has been helpful at some level. If you have enjoyed today's broadcast, please thank Emma, because it was because of Emma's incredible story that we got to do this. So when you see this go up on the broadcast, please make sure you leave a note for Emma to thank her. And then she will know that being brave and courageous as she was, that telling the truth as she did helped a lot of people. That would be my wish, but that's just my wish. You can do whatever you like. As you always do. No, don't write it here because she's not here. She can't see it. Write it on the comments when it goes public. All right, everybody. A big hug to you all. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of the process of helping so many people we don't even know about, even those people who interviewed Linda's son. I think that's an incredible story. Jody, could you just remind me of that one? Because I would like to talk about that as well tonight. Look after one another, everybody. Sure. But please, let's make sure that we start looking after ourselves and our emotions and those and learn to put down those boundaries where people just don't spend their lives affecting us. We want to care about people, but we don't want to just do it at a level where it's destructive to ourselves. I'll see you tonight when we talk about not taking things too personally. This is DearMamaSal saying, thank you so much for being here. It would be so lonely talking to myself. Jody, thank you for all that you do to keep me on track and online. Big hugs to you all. This is DearMamaSal saying, bye-bye for now.